Okay, I think we are live right now. Are we? Yes, we are live. So, hi everyone. Welcome to Live with Celeste. So, this is going to be the first one I'm doing all by myself without any help. So, please bear with me. We're just going to go, like natural, just talking, coffee table talk, and all that. So, today we have a friend here. She's one of the people that I first initially met in Sub 2. Sub 2 is a group of investors all over the state, really. And it's kind of like a mentorship. But I'm very thrilled to have Suzanne Sharkey over here. She's a seasoned real estate investor from Rhode Island. So this is going to be my very first live interview with her. Suzanne is a real go giver, go getter, known for her no nonsense approach. That's one of the reasons I liked her, initially. And then knowing her, knowing what she does, in this field, being a woman myself and an immigrant, I was like, I kind of looked up to her and what she was doing. So she's great with building relationships. She's made a name for herself, calling out bad practices and standing up for what's right in the industry. So I'm really excited to have her here. So welcome, Suzanne.
Thank you.
How are you?
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Okay, great, great, great. So, not a lot of people, well, I know a lot of people already know what you're doing. So I'm pretty new in the industry. I'm coming up, this is going to be a year and a half, almost 2 years for me. But how did you get started with real estate and what made you choose this career?
Yeah. So my background, so I'm half Korean. Growing up, I consider myself actually fourth generation real estate. So throughout my history, one of the things I think that first turned me on to real estate to begin with was grandma. And grandma and I didn't really have like a close relationship, but I always knew that she was buying and selling property. She was a high school teacher in classical high school. Her and my grandfather were high school teachers. So they
Mm,
they did what they did on a high school salary. They raised two kids, and then when grandma died, she died a millionaire because of all the properties that she had. And
mm,
so I knew growing up that real estate was a good avenue. I never really knew how to get into it at all. But what ended up happening is my mom ended up having four kids. I'm number two. And at one point, raising four kids and being an immigrant herself, and my dad was in the military, there's not that much money. And so she always wanted to
mhm.
give us more. And to give us more, she needed to make more money. At one point, she
Yeah.
reached out to my aunt. My aunt was really successful being a real estate agent in New Jersey. There's a very large
Mhm.
Korean population, and because she was bilingual, it was really easy. I don't want to say really easy, but it was easier for her to service that entire demographic. And so she did really, really
Yeah.
well in New Jersey, one of the top agents. I say that, but there's part of me that says not that well because I swear that she developed diabetes because she never ate, was constantly on the road, would leave
Yeah.
her kids at home, but she hustled the
Mhm.
hell out of it. And she was, I don't know, but in my head, she made like maybe 200,000 one year, which at that time
Mm,
was big, big money
a lot
back
of
in the
money.
90s. So mom became an agent. I hated it because I used to come home from school and she'd always be home, and then suddenly I'd come home and she's not home anymore. And then on the weekend she'd be going
Mm.
around doing what is it, open houses. So I hated all of it.
Houses. Yeah.
And then I
Mm.
decided, well, if I'm going to spend time with mom or if I'm going to get time with mom, it's going to be alongside her to help her. And so I became mom's like
Mm.
GPS. Back in the day, it was like a book where it was like, Apple Street is on C5. And she didn't know how to do that and she would
Mhm.
panic. So I would be in her passenger seat.
Yeah.
Like I was good at that. So I could drive her around. I would go see houses with her. And then when it came to computer stuff, I'd always help her with her computer stuff. And then I was her email
How old
person.
were you
So
then?
uh, let me think, like maybe 13, 14. I was pretty young. So I think like
Okay.
sixth grade.
Yeah.
So sixth grade would have made me 11. So by like 11 years old, I think she went back to work. And then by 13, I remember being in her driver's seat. And then I got mad because by the time I got good at like all the streets, it was time for me to have like my
Yeah.
learner's permit. And then we moved to Rhode Island. And then everything that I
Oh.
learned meant nothing. And so I was like, I hate this. I'm never memorizing any other street thereafter. So nowadays, if you tell me like 495, I have no idea. Or they'll be like, oh, go to
Oh.
Wilmington, Massachusetts. And I'm like, where? I have zero geography. So just tell me, like, is it north, south, east, west? Is it 30 minutes from us?
Mhm.
Like, where are we going exactly? But yeah,
Yeah.
so I started doing real estate because of mom. I had always wanted to do it, but I was afraid to do it. And I was afraid to do it
Yeah.
because mom never wanted me to do it. And she never wanted me to do
Mhm.
it because she tend to have a lot of problem in real estate herself. So she's very much a bleeding heart. She takes care of kind of like the bottom of the bottom. So people that are the hardest people to work with and that probably every other agent fires, she doesn't give up. And so she
Mhm.
would struggle with people a lot. And at some point, some of it becomes rewarding, and at the other end, some of it is very disappointing. And so because of that, mom she loves me, she wants me to have a cushy life. So she was like, I don't want you to do real estate. And so
Yeah.
for years, I wanted it. For years, I didn't know how to go after it. And it's so funny when you think of like how, when they talk about mindset being huge, it's so true. Like mindset
Mhm.
holding you back. I don't need permission from mom to do real estate, but something in my head said, no, I'm looking for her blessing. I want to know that she's happy for me, that if I
Yeah.
do this. So anyway, fast forward a couple years, I think actually during COVID, I had a friend, so even backwards more, I was working for Tesla. I bought the car, the Tesla car,
Mhm.
when every day we were like bankrupt and the company was going to go to shit. And so I ended up buying the car. I ended up quitting the company. I'm so glad I bought
Mhm.
that car because it was I remember at that time I was like, down payment on a house or buy a car. Down payment on a house, buy
Exactly.
a
Is
car.
that the same car you're driving right now? Is it the
Yeah,
same
6 years
thing?
later.
Oh,
6 years
wow.
later, one of the
Wow.
best investments that I made, it was 60,000 at the time. I was like, this is
Mhm.
ridiculous. But long story, I had my car got totaled. Somebody was driving it for me. It was my mom
Mhm.
and she got rear-ended. And so I said, the
Oh
next
my.
time I ever get a call from her that says she was driving my car and she got into a car accident, it better be in a Tesla because Tesla is like the number
Mhm.
one safest car on the road. So I decided to
Wow.
bite the bullet. Elon at the time gave us a bonus. And so I bought the car. When I bought the car, my sister, it was kind of like during COVID. So my sister had a baby and couldn't send her to daycare. I used to drive from Rhode
Mhm.
Island to New Jersey. It was a 4.5 hour trip for me. And I used to listen to podcasts. It was my first time ever doing podcasts. And one of the ones that I liked a lot was Wholesaling Inc.
Mhm.
With, I can't remember his name. I can see his face, but I can't remember his name. He's religious. Tom, something Tom. I'll remember it later.
Yeah.
But Wholesaling Inc. And one of the people that was on it was Brent Daniels
Yeah,
is he
Brandon.
Wholesaling Inc. or no, he's TTP. Anyway, I got
Yeah,
into
it's
one
CCP. Yeah.
podcast. I loved it. I used to take notes like ferociously on it. Everything made sense to me, but I was terrified to take action. And
Mhm.
so anyway, I would do that trip almost every month. So 8 hours podcasting. And then I, at some point, discovered Pace, loved Pace, stalked him for like
Mhm.
a year. And then with my friends, we were like, did you do it? Did you find out? How much is it? Are you in? Are you out? Is this a scam? Is it real? And then January 16th, my friend had asked me, he's like, did you do it? And I was like, no, because, and I went to go give him a reason why I hadn't done it yet.
Yeah.
And I was like, I am so full of shit. Every reason that I want to give is just crap. And so I'm going to do it. I picked up the phone. I paid for the mentorship. And then slowly but surely met really good, great people, got angry at myself for not taking action, and then took some action. And then I think one of your questions is like, what was the first deal that I ever did? Right.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
There's a little bit of lag. That's why I'm like, where are we? So the first deal I
Okay.
ever did was about 6 months into the sub two mentorship. So it is a mentorship. At least that's how it started.
Mhm.
And so they teach
Yeah.
you how to do a certain kind of real estate. 6 months into it, I had paid for the course and I didn't do anything with it yet. And so I got angry. And I'm not a person that likes to talk to people too much, especially when I feel like I'm saying, hi, your house is shitty. Can I have it for free? Essentially, is how I feel sometimes when people make that cold call. And so I hate it. And so I
Yeah.
thought, okay, I want to send emails instead. And then I thought, well, I'm kind of smart,
Mm-hmm.
so let me do like MailChimp or something. I tried to send it for like
Yeah.
4 hours. I couldn't figure it out. I got angry. And then at 3 o'clock in the morning, I sent out like a 500 email list out, like BCC. No, it was like 300, because
Yeah.
as I'm falling asleep, like half of them got returned as like a bounce back or blocked. And I'm like, oh my God, I spent all this
Yeah.
time trying to do something and none of it worked out. Next morning, I got 3 emails back. One email was like, how'd you get my number? Another email was like, fuck off. And then the third email was, hey, call Chris. And then I was
Mm-hmm.
like, well, let's see what Chris has to say about things. So I called Chris, and that was my first deal ever. He was some guy who was in Portugal. He had bought a property. He meant to flip it. He didn't get a chance to finish it. He took off to do some sort of luxury condos in Portugal and then couldn't come back in time. He was getting in trouble with the town of New Bedford because nothing was moving and the house looked junky. So we ended up locking it up for 225, and then I wholesaled it with Clinton Reynolds out of Rhode Island for 250. So we made 25,000 our first time. I think I probably spent
Yeah.
like less than 4 hours, if that, on the phone. And
Mm-hmm.
everything was handled. Everything was smooth. I remember even the first time getting the check, Clinton was like, "Aren't you so excited? Like, oh my God, it's real. It's money." And I was like, I feel dead on the inside. I feel like I've been trying this for so long and I didn't believe this to be
Mm-hmm.
true. And so I was like, we'll just keep going. Let's see if we can keep making money. So yeah. And then that started that partnership with him. But that was my first deal ever. One of the
Mm-hmm.
easiest deals probably of all time. And it taught me that lesson of you need to take the income generating activities, because every
Yes.
other thing I try to do, like setting up emails or talking to agents or creating my brand or creating my email signature or creating the
Mm-hmm.
right thing to say, none of that mattered. At the end of the day, it was talking to Chris, figuring out where he needed to be at, telling him where I needed to be at, and then settling on a price and getting the job done. So
Yeah.
yeah, income generating activities always.
So I want to circle back to you getting to the right mindset and then you taking action. And so you that deal came across because you teamed up with Chris. Kind of like you didn't have your team before, so that was kind of like my mindset before too. I kind of I'm a little bit of like a control freak as well. I want to know everything first before I execute, something like that. I think it's the Asian in me that I want to, I want to make sure I
I think
figured out
it's
everything
I
before.
I think you're right. I think there's a level, especially when it comes to Asians, of trying to be perfect. So I don't like the
Mm-hmm.
word like control freak, because I understand like it's it's a cute little name, but I just
Mm-hmm.
think it's so diminutive as to who you are and what you're trying to do. You care
Mm-hmm.
about what you do, right? That's
Yeah,
the
that's why I
only
want to be
reason why
ready. Yeah.
you're willing to put that much energy and effort behind it. But I think the mindset behind it, that perfectionism, is wrong. And I suffer from the
Mhm.
same thing, right? I don't want to.
Yeah.
And then again, we're Asian, which is a whole nother thing, which is in the
Mhm.
beginning, I used to hide behind names. And that's the whole reason why I partnered with other people. And when you first said that you were doing this podcast by yourself, in my head, I'm like, hell yeah. Because for the longest time, I hid behind other people because I was afraid to be myself. I was afraid to be
Mhm.
myself. I was afraid to make mistakes. I was afraid to get criticism, especially from the Korean community in Rhode Island, or just criticism from my mom, because wanting to be perfect. But the whole aspect of this business, or for anybody who knows about doing anything well, you're going to fall on your face, you're going to make a mistake, but it's those
Exactly.
moments that make you great. And
Mhm.
more things happen, but the people that I have the most amount of respect for are not the perfect people. They are the people that have made mistakes and that go back and say, you know what, I fucked up really bad. It's
Mhm.
really embarrassing. I hate
Yeah.
it. I am
Yeah.
sorry. Here's what I did wrong. Here's what I would do instead. And also, please learn from me, because you don't have to suffer like I suffered. So when you think about it, just take a step back tonight and think about all the leaders out there that you respect, all the people in the industry that you respect. It's never going to be somebody who's perfect and never makes a mistake, because you and I can't relate to that. We know we're
Mhm.
imperfect. We know we make mistakes. We know, for me at least, there are days that I'm like ratchet and I need a snack, or I need to take a nap, or I need to not talk to
Mhm.
people, right? Because I'm just
Yeah.
burnt out. But at the end of the day, I think the thing that matters most is getting up and having the hard conversations, or getting up and doing the difficult things that you don't want to do, like paying your taxes and going to the dentist. Like, you need to go and take action, even if it's not the most fun thing that you want to do in this moment in time. Yeah.
Yeah, so being in this industry, I mentioned to you that I'm coming into my second year, right? But like you, I didn't do a lot of stuff when I did the mentorship. So this I did the sub two, and then I did Gator. So that's two enrollments that I did. I was like, I did early on in sub 2 I was able to get an assignment fee, so I was like, okay, I got whatever I paid for, I got it back. But then
Right.
because of my lack of knowledge, again, the mindset thing, I was like, I could have kept this property if I know what I knew now. But then back then I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not ready, so I sulked and I just went into my little hole, just read, and I didn't make any connections whatsoever. And so those are like a good 6 7 months of me just hiding in myself and not doing anything. And now that what you mentioned, I should have done more then, like put
No,
myself out there and stuff.
no,
And
no, no. I totally disagree with you. I totally disagree with you. So, you know this about me, and for anybody that wants to know it, they can see it on my Instagram. My best friend of 3 years stole from me, and it was
Mhm.
atrocious. I
Yeah.
hired a coach for $25,000, and it was worth it to me because the person that I am after working with her is a
Mm-hmm.
totally different person. The person that I was with before, and I'm very similar to you, where I want to be a good Asian daughter. I'm going to do all my research. I'm going to be so ready when the time comes, and I'm going to be pixel perfect. And the answer is, I did all that. I researched everything, blah blah blah. When it was time to take action, I was like, I don't know what my name is. Like, I don't know what to do. And I called my friends, right? And they were like, "Are you dumb? Like, Suzanne, you know?" Like, I'm like, "What color is a tree? I just don't know." And they're like, "You know? What are you
Mm-hmm.
talking about?" But in that moment, when you first do something, it is really scary. But now I'm of the opinion that you have to walk the fire. Whatever your fire is, the moment you walk it is the moment that you learn it to in a way that nobody can ever take it from you. Even if you sit down and you try to read a book and you sit down and you have all these conversations and whatever, unless you're doing the income generating activities, unless you're having the hard conversations with your seller, the hard conversations with attorneys, wholesalers, whoever it is that you're having it
Mm-hmm.
with, even the hard conversations that you're having with yourself, which is, I'm upset with myself for not taking more action. All of that feeling that you have, which I don't know, is, you're upset about it, you're unhappy with yourself, you're kind of angry with
Mm-hmm.
yourself. All of those feelings matter because they change you into the next version of you. And I am a big believer that you are exactly where you need to be. If you did all those things where you were hiding or you were playing it safe or you were playing it small, and now you're at the point where you're angry that you did that, that you're exactly where you need to be, because for you to change or have the next growth that you want to have, you had to have gone through that period. You can try to tell
Yeah, I do
yourself like,
agree with that.
oh, I should be disciplined. I should. But this is your journey. And the way that you learn and the way that you do things is this is the way that you do it. And so I'm a very big believer that everything you go through, everything that you feel, every difficult thing that you do, it's all yours to keep. And you are exactly where you're supposed to be. So don't put shame on
Mhm.
yourself thinking, oh, I should be further, I should be here, I should be that. Everything you went through taught you something. It either taught you, I like it and I want to keep doing it, or I hate it and what was I thinking and I want to go into like left field. But you are exactly where
Mhm.
you need to be. Everything you did was
Yeah.
exactly what you were supposed to do.
Yeah, and then it's good that I have my husband helping me because I
I
literally
love
know nothing about real estate. And then my husband was like the one encouraging me to do this, this, and that. He would explain to me like a kindergartner because I was like, you gotta explain it to me. I know nothing. And also too, like shiny object syndrome, right? I was like, oh, that seems easier for me, kind of like aligns with what I know now already. But then that's really not what we wanted. So it took me a while to get to this point. Now that I know, I have people that help me. I'm trying to JV more and team up with more people, because that's where we want it to be. So we want to scale, and in order for us to scale, because before I was like thinking, who would want to partner with us? We're like newbies. What do we know? But now we know a lot of exit strategies. We know, all those kind of stuff. So, um, and I like the idea of when I saw you before. I remember, when was that? The big thing over, is that New Hampshire that we did the last one? The big
Creative Elite.
sub two. Yeah, the January. No, the one that you did. You had the stage and everything.
That's
The
Creative
last
Elite.
time you creative, yeah, creative.
Southern New Hampshire University. That was April
Yeah,
22nd, and I think it was 2023. I can't remember 2023 or
it's
2024 or
20,
2022.
22.
I don't
I
know.
think it's 2023 because I just
Okay.
joined and
Yeah.
then I haven't even. Yeah, I just joined and then that happened, and so I was like, oh my, I was so intimidated at that. I was just putting up a face. I was like so intimidated and everything, and we were learning about creative, buying stuff creative, and then when someone asked who in here did the creative thing, only a few hands raised up. I was like, aren't
Yeah.
this is the one that we're learning? And then no one really had done it before. So they're like all traditional selling and
Keep
all
in
that stuff.
mind,
But it's yeah,
I've always, so that was me because I was like, who's actually done a sub two in this room? And I was also shocked because I would say maybe it's like 5% of the room, if not less.
not
And so
even.
my next question I should have asked is like, why? But it was not the right format to do that.
Hmm.
But yeah, but the other thing that I will say is not every deal is a creative deal. And I think
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
question that I was asking is who's done a sub two, not
Hmm.
who's done a seller finance, who's done a lease option, who's done a trust, whatever. It wasn't that. It was specifically who has done a sub two. And it's a little bit difficult because in Massachusetts specifically, and
It's
Massachusetts
hard.
kind of sets the standard for here we are in New England,
Hmm.
there was a ruling, and I think it was a younger newlywed couple that ended up selling their property and then later split up and then couldn't figure out how to do that. They opened
Divorce.
up a case and there was some ruling against doing a sub two. And I understand it too because it was so new in it that they were like, listen, this is like one in a million things. Just nobody effing do it because you guys can't figure it out. So, we're not going to go out of our way to try to create this whole sub two thing, how to do it legally in Massachusetts, because only like two, they didn't know, but they're like, oh, only one or two people are doing it. So who cares? But now
Hmm.
we have more attorneys that do it. But yeah, there was a ruling in Massachusetts that kind of made every other attorney be like, I don't know much about it. And what I do know about it is that the attorney didn't rule in the favor of it. And so right now, I don't really care to like stop and try to service that. I'd much rather just, a lot of these attorneys don't even like to go to litigation. I call them like, I don't know why I call
Yeah.
them like paperwork pushers. They just want to be able to like receive the file, execute the file, collect their fee, and just rinse and repeat all the time. So yeah, but now we have some really great attorneys
Hmm.
that are willing to say, you know what, this is like a newer thing that people are doing. It's catching momentum. More people are asking for it. I want to be at the forefront of whatever it is that this is, and therefore I'm willing to stop and take a look at it and be able to provide that service. So there are definitely companies that do it very well out here.
Yeah, yeah, I've come to learn. I have a lot of contacts for lawyers and title companies before. I would ask them one thing and they don't know what to do. I was like, oh, we are so lost. And so, yeah, so me communicating, going into the sub two community and just going into like groups. I attended a lot of groups and say if they're doing the same thing. So it's just really networking that really helped me like help us grow. And also, we already have a few properties going into the mentorship, and we already learned. So all of the stuff that we learned it prior. So it's just
Mm-hmm.
really scaling because we used all our money purchasing all our properties before, and so we really needed to buy properties using other people other people's money. That's why we gravitated to Pace because that's what he really that's the thing that he mentioned that kind of like clicked with us because yeah, we don't have any more money to buy any more property. So that's what we gravitated towards him for. So you already mentioned about you already touched on being an immigrant and being a woman in the real estate industry. um
Yeah.
so if I were new, I think you kind of touched on it a little bit. If I were new and I wanted to um go into this industry, what are the maybe two or three things that you would want them to do that you already are aware of that you should do this prior to doing it, going into the
So
industry?
so if
Tips.
I was brand new starting out again, what are one or two things that I would want to know to be successful? Or can you rephrase it one more time?
Yeah, what for me to be ready to go in there. Let's say, Suzanne, I want to do what you do. What is it that
Yeah.
I need to do first? Obviously, I
Okay.
need to be educated, but yeah.
So I'm smiling and laughing because you asked what is it going to take for you to be ready? And the answer is you're not going to be ready.
Yeah.
What you need to know is that you become ready when you do it, right? Like you being a mom for the first time
Mhm.
ever, Celeste, you were not a mom before your first kid. How do you become a mom? You
Yeah.
just do it. And in the process of doing it, do you figure it out? So real estate is one of those that you're not going to be ready for it. You're not just going to be like, I'm straight out the gate. I'm ready to do this. No, sorry, it's not going to happen. Again, I call it walking fire. And so you do the income generating activities. You talk to people that have a property to sell. You talk to people that have cash to lend. You talk to people, right? That's another thing that I love about Brent
Mhm.
Daniels. That was the guy that first got me kind of like on the podcast
Talk
in the
to people.
Tesla.
Talk to people.
But
Yeah.
his whole thing is talk to people. And I'm just going to say this, and I don't want to embarrass anybody, but he was a stripper back in the day. And it blows my
Oh, was he?
mind.
I didn't know that.
Yes, he was a stripper back in the day. He wanted to, I mean, look at him. Look at him. Anyway, sorry, I'm looking
Yeah.
too much. All right, let me calm down.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
was a
Yeah.
stripper back in the day, and I think it's so effing genius. Like Nike, just do it. It's
Hmm.
TTP, talk to people.
Talk to people.
Anytime that I've ever been in a problem, my sewer is backed up. This is a problem. This talk to people. And I think that's something that also helped me out is I'm very much a talking person to begin with. I have to like talk
Mhm.
and possibly cry to get over something. So by
Mhm.
me talking it out, do I get to figure things out? But going all the way back, if I was brand new, I think the answer or the things that could have helped me push me to I call it compressing time. So as I mentioned before, everything that you've done was the right thing for you to do. But sometimes
Mhm.
I think we do the things very slowly, right? Like maybe you didn't need 6 months of prep work, maybe 3 months, and you could have just, So anyway, I call it compressing time.
Go
It's
ahead.
all yours. However fast or slow you want to take it is your business. But if I could compress time, what I would have told myself is, and because you made the comment about being ready, you're not going to be ready. You're going to be ready as you do it. So the faster you do it, the faster you're going to be greater at what you're doing. The faster
Yeah.
you're going to figure out whether or not you even should be doing it. And that's a whole nother topic I have, which is
Yeah.
like
That's a whole new topic.
some
Yeah.
people get razzle dazzled with real estate, and some people think, oh, I need to do this first, and then I do that, and then I do this. And the answer is, no, you're probably destined for something else. But like, let's be self aware. Let's be honest with ourselves, and keep doing stuff, because the more you do stuff, the sooner you're like, I fucking hate doing this thing. I don't want to manage my own rehabs. I just want to lend money, right? But
Mhm.
you don't know that until you actually
Until
do
you.
it. So I would tell
Mhm.
you, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. So I have a big thing about walking the fire. Just mother effing do it. That's one. And two, I love talk to people. Talk to people has always helped me. So as you're doing it, you're going to have issues trying to figure out what should you do next? How should you do something? Should you stop doing something? And at that point in time, I definitely am a big believer of talking to people. Yeah.
So yeah, with regards to talking to people, I'm a talker too. I've been in the customer service industry in the healthcare field and all that stuff. So I love talking to people. But when it came to talking to people about, purchasing a property and stuff, I was like stumped. So with how I got over that is again talking more to people and not being afraid to make mistakes. And so you're gonna and telling them like I might not know the answer to all of your questions. Let me get back to you. So a lot of people. So I'm kind of coaching right now. There's a No One Left Behind challenge, and that's
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I mentioned to them, that don't be afraid to not know all of the answers and just tell them, let me get back to you. That's a great question. Let me get back to you, give you an expert, on that matter. Because before I was like, I tried to know everything myself, and that's
Perfectionist.
really hard. You're putting yourself to fail if you're
Yeah.
doing that. So yeah,
I
that's
think that,
that's one
to
thing that
be
I
honest,
learned.
I think that's more of like a human thing. Like as we get older, like certain things are real estate specific, and then there are other things about just being a great human individual to begin with. And I think for us, like ego is another big thing that I know myself and my friends wrestle with. It creeps up on you left and right. Again, nothing to do with real estate. It's just part of it. And I think it's very hard for people to say, I don't know, because at that
Mhm.
point you feel like you should know. There's like shame and guilt around not knowing. I'm supposed to be the professional, and right now I don't know shit. Of course you don't know everything. Of course you don't. But yeah,
Exactly.
I very much, there's a couple things that I like. Like I always tell people, have a healthy dose of awkward silence. I
Mm-hmm.
fucking love. I don't like awkward silence, but I also do like it. Like it makes me laugh. I just don't
Mm-hmm.
like it when I'm in the pickle of having it, because I have like a hard time of like not filling the space with words, because you and me
Mm-hmm.
are talking people. But I tell people, have a healthy dose of awkward silence all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with people that you're working with, especially when it comes to doing a deal. And then I had one other thing, but I forgot. But healthy dose of awkward silence is definitely one. Um, oh, and the other thing I wanted to tell you is, you said you were coaching people, especially when it comes to doing a transaction. Um,
Well, I'm just coaching them on, so what the no one left behind challenge is,
yeah.
they just call and set up an appointment. So we submit an LOI, and then
Mm-hmm.
the newbies, the freshmen would call the agents or sellers if they received it and set up an appointment for the closers to close.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not really doing a lot of cold calling, but then we do have a list that the newbies would call for, for all those like pillars and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you mentioned something about that, but that's technically what we are
I
trying
don't
to
know. So this is the other thing I was thinking of while you were talking about that. So my stuff is, a lot of it is probate, and because we buy our own leads and we flip our own stuff.
hmm
I don't wholesale anymore. In the past, I did wholesale for money, but then you get to a point where you're like,
yeah.
listen, if I can wholesale, I can also raise money, and so that, which means I can do my own flip, which means I can make more money. So why am I not just
hmm
doing that? Um, so I don't know if it's totally applicable. I think it is. But the other thing that I used to do that I think made me great is, I put myself on your team. So, for example, if you're
hmm
selling a property and I'm buying it, I don't approach you as like we're on the opposite sides of the table. It's like I come sit next to you on your side of the table. And it's one thing that I like to do, where it's like, okay, well, what exactly are we looking at right now? What are you trying to accomplish? What's going on with
hmm
you? For
hmm
example, but again, a lot of my stuff is people have passed away and the houses are really in disarray. But I would think it's the same thing like with a seller, um, any kind of seller, distressed seller, or somebody who wants to like 1031 exchange it into something sexier and bigger. I'm not
hmm
on the opposite side of the table. I'm always like, well, what are you trying to accomplish? I'm not working against you. And I think that also, because of the way that I frame it, has also made me successful in being able to connect with people and also get to the other end of the spectrum
End of
of
that.
whatever problem it is we're solving.
hmm
Yeah, because I'm more interested, and I used to tell people this all the time too when I was doing Sub to New England. If I cannot meet the seller's needs, we don't have a
You don't
deal.
have a deal.
I don't care what
hmm
my needs are or
True.
your needs are as the buyer. First and foremost, what the hell are their needs? So, for example,
hmm
right now I have a seller who said she wanted to sell and then was ghosting everybody. I ended up being able to get down to the bottom of the, whatever the expression is, bottom of the barrel, bottom of the
hmm
what?
Bottom of the
What's the
barrel.
thing? I got to the bottom
Yeah.
of the,
Yeah. Bottom of the barrel. I
what's the
think you're
expression?
bottom of the
Bottom of the
barrel,
barrel is,
isn't
it
it?
sounds bad. I
I don't
got to
know.
the
English
bottom
is
of
not my.
the,
Yeah. I don't know.
I got
Bottom
to
of
the
the barrel.
bottom. Oh, I think that's it. I think it's, I got to the bottom.
Yeah.
Hang on. All right. I got to the bottom.
You get to
Nothing.
the
That's
bottom of it, and then what happened?
I got to the bottom, and the bottom was, she was she needed a certain rent, she needed a certain monthly income coming in for her to be able to seller finance the deal. And her doing all her calculations, she couldn't see that matching up. She didn't know how to
Mm,
fix the problem. She didn't really want to talk to me because initially she thought I'm on the opposite side of the table. So she's like, how do I have the conversation to like make Suzanne agree with me? And
yeah.
then once I put myself on the same side of the table as her, then I'm like, okay, well, what's the problem that we're trying to solve here? You need a certain monthly income. Okay, what is that? You need 1,500, 1,300, 2,000. Like, what is it that we need? And then from there, I can reverse engineer and figure it out on my side. But at a minimum, I need to meet the seller's needs. If I cannot, or if you cannot meet the seller's needs, I'm sorry, but there is no mother effing deal. But if you figure out what the seller's needs
It's
are
funny that you
and
mentioned
you
that.
can meet, and
Yeah.
yeah. And so if you can figure out the seller's needs and you also have needs that you can meet, that's when you have a deal. Any other time that you
hmm
try to rush that without figuring out what it is that they need, You don't have a deal. You're going to blow it up. You're not doing it right. Yeah.
Yeah, so
There
that's the
is no
exact same
deal
boat I
without
am
meeting
right
their
now
needs.
with one of the sellers. So they
Mhm.
exactly do the same need the same thing, but they couldn't give me a number on what they really need. So they had three working adults before, now it's down to one. They were open to doing creative before, but then again they're concerned that it's only one earning person, all that stuff. So we're negotiating that. I'm trying to see where we can come forward. It's just the amount of time that I already spent. I think if they're really not sure that they want to go forward with it, I don't want to move forward because it's time wasted. I'm just going to revisit them after a while. So I'm giving them a little bit of time to your face. I'm giving them a little time to
Time is never wasted.
I'm
No.
I'm
You having
marinating
those
it.
tough conversations with them is
Yeah,
good for you and it's good for them.
yeah.
So in my opinion, there's no such thing as time wasted. You can't waste time. The only thing that you could do that you might be angry is what I call compressing time. You might be able to get there faster, right? But there's no such thing to me as time wasted. Don't
Yes, the
think of it
amount
like
of time
that.
we already spent back and forth. So I was like, okay,
Has
I just
made
have to.
you better. Has
I
made
has
you
made me
better
better.
and
Yeah, my
hopefully
patience.
has helped them figure out what the hell they want, even if they figure out that working together is not a good idea. It's
Hmm.
not time
And I
wasted.
mentioned that to them. I might not be the perfect match, but if I can help you with it, but yeah, so they said they need a little time, and I'm giving them that, and we'll revisit it hopefully next week, and then go forward. So whether we purchase it or I just help them throughout, that's where it's gonna be at. So
Yeah.
I've been getting a lot of those lately, and I have another VA that he doesn't really he's gonna walk out with negative, and he still couldn't wrap his head around the thing. So but
Wait,
I'm
say it
talking
again.
to
Say it
the
again. You have a VA and he's going to walk away with negative.
it's a VA loan that they have. And I mentioned
Oh,
to
okay, okay,
them, I can explain to you how VA works, and you can buy another property, and then all that stuff. But it's just it's he has a certain thing that he couldn't. I don't know how to put it in words. And then the realtor too. So he's kind of like preventing me to move forward a little bit. So they just have a number and they're sticking to that. I think it hasn't sunk in yet. Um, but we'll see. It's been in the market for 30 days now,
Where's the house?
and it's getting there. So it's in
Where's the
Springfield.
house?
It's a multi.
It's glitching. One more time.
Springfield, Springfield, Mass.
I don't like
Oh, I'm
Springfield.
sorry, Springfield,
No,
Massachusetts.
that place
You
scares
don't know where
me.
that is?
No, I got off the highway
Yeah.
and it was like home of Smith and Wesson. And then I was like,
Not if
shit,
you
do I
talk
even
to not if you talk to Maddie.
Yeah, I know he like grew up there, but still. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I
yeah.
mean,
I have
there's a lot of
property
people
there,
that
and
do.
it's giving me, yeah, it's one of my good properties, like great properties. So
Yeah.
it's giving me a lot of cash flow.
Are you
But
working
yeah,
with
I like
Matt
that
Slowick on
market.
that?
Who again? Which one?
Are you working with Matt Slowick on that one, the Springfield one? So there's a property
No.
for sale in Springfield that has a VA loan attached to it. It's been on the market for 30 days.
Yeah. He wants like dirt cheap, and this one doesn't. He wants like, I don't know how much he wanted for he has a certain buy box, and I don't think this will meet it because it's
No,
the
no, no, no.
price is way up there.
You don't think, you do. You send it to him, you get him to reject the deal. You don't reject the deal for him, doing your best impression of what you think he's going to think. You send it to him, you say, "Help
I
me
haven't
figure
reached
this
back.
out, mother effer."
Yeah, I haven't reached out to him yet, but hopefully I
Yeah,
could
we'll
reach
do
out to
that.
him next week. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I definitely will if he's a.
Next week, reach out to him right now. Reach out to him at 1 o'clock in the morning. Tell him Suzanne says, "What's up?" And tell him I have a property that's a VA loan. They could do sub two, blah blah blah. Like
Yeah.
30 days on market is not good.
Yeah, it's
Not
not
good.
good. And I
With
have
no
one.
offer.
Now it's 60. The other one that I'm trying to work on is 65 days. It didn't work out our offer before, but I think they're going to be okay now since it came back to market. So there's a lot of stuff that are coming back to market.
Where are you getting your leads from right now? They're
I
all
have
on market.
yeah, we do our own leads. I have
Wow.
acquisitions company, right? We pull our own leads.
Acquisitions what?
We have an acquisitions company. So my husband pulls the leads out and then my VA calls them and we submit LOIs. So we actually underwrite them. We submit an LOI. We used to submit two, creative and cash. Now we just submit cash and then I put in the creative once I talk to them, once an appointment is set up and, all those.
I like that. I
So
like
yeah,
that.
yeah. Because when they see
When you
creative,
say
they're
he
like, oh,
pulls
these
out, your
people are
husband
good.
pulls out. When your husband pulls out the when your husband pulls out the data, where is he? What is he pulling? Are these on market or what?
On market, we do active.
Okay.
We do active.
Yeah.
And then yeah, some of them are accurate. Some of them are actually expired listings. So those we call the seller
I
song.
love
But yeah,
expired
yeah,
listings.
yeah, yeah, a lot of
If you want
expired.
to look at Andover, Massachusetts, I will buy whatever you get in Andover, Massachusetts.
Andover. Oh, okay, okay.
Girl, girl, girl.
Is the market good there,
Nobody is going to
Andover?
buy
It's kind
Andover.
of like a little far away from me. So
Oh,
what's
yeah, you don't need
the
to be here. You don't need to be here. I will buy
uh,
it. I'm 20 minutes away. I will go and I'd be like, yes, I will
Andover?
buy it.
That's the only Andover
Andover,
and
Massachusetts.
Hanover.
Honey, my geography, I have no idea where Hanover is. I know it exists. That much I know. Where it is, no idea. Doesn't matter. Doesn't
Andover.
matter to
Doesn't
me.
matter what it is, like sight
Wait, what?
unseen.
Oh yeah, I don't
What's
care.
your buy
Anything in
box?
Andover, anything in
Anything in
Andover,
Andover.
anything residential in Andover. If it's commercial, I mean, if I have to do commercial, I will do it. Anything in Andover. I want to be the only person who buys everything in Andover. So
Okay.
you know my story. My best friend stole from me, and then
Yeah,
at
yeah.
that point in time, I was like, you know what? He's never gonna buy another goddamn deal in Andover ever again because I'm a fucking buy everything. That's going to be your last thing you ever touch in this town if I, have a
Yes.
say,
Buy
which I
everything there.
do. So,
Okay.
yeah,
So
I
let me
will.
circle back. How's your flip doing over there?
I love
Oh,
it.
is it in
Okay.
Andover?
Yes. So
Oh.
125 Haverhill Street for any of, let me give you more. Suzanne, Suzanne, K. I say K for Korean, but my middle name is literally Kay. It's short for Kwangok, which is my mom's Korean name. But it's
Oh.
easier for people to just be like, oh, Suzanne, K for Korean Sharkey. Shark, Shark, with an EY, like the fish, EY. All right, go find me on Instagram. On Instagram, if you look at my Instagram bio, I don't know why I'm like this. In the beginning, you were like, Suzanne is a go-giver. And I have beef. I never read the book, or like I listened to the
Oh,
audible, and
yeah,
then I
they
got
got it.
mad. I got mad at the whole thing, and I was like, I'm not a go-giver. So anytime I hear go-giver, I'm always like, ugh, ugh, ugh.
But you
But
are though.
I don't know. Listen, I don't know what I am. But what I do know is, and you kind of know this too, because you came to the CBL event that I brought you to in December in
Yeah,
Dartmouth. No,
yeah. No.
starts with the D. Dedham.
Dedham. Yeah.
Okay. And at one point, one of the meetings that we had there, we were talking about, like, everybody was talking about how do we be better at what we do. And at one point I was like, wait a minute, why are we trying to be better at what we're doing now? A lot of us are trying to just make money to get to the next version of who we want to be. And so,
Mhm.
for example, when I went around our table, there was a guy who was like, this was Ed Jones. Ed Jones was like,
Edges.
I want to provide transio? No, transitional
Transitional
housing.
housing.
I want to provide transitional housing. Somebody else was like, I want to provide work for the youth instead of them getting into trouble. So kind of like prison reform, but
Mhm.
creating like what do you call those jobs when trade school jobs or something
Yeah.
like that? Creating more work
Vocational.
opportunities, vocational schools, creating more. training opportunities for the youth to then get into a field like plumbing, electrical, HVAC, whatever, and then,
Mhm.
not getting into less trouble. For myself, I said that I want to grow people. And every time I say grow people, they're like, what are you talking about?
You want to have a
Um,
baby?
what I mean by that is I really want to have a farm. And when I say I want to grow people, I want to have like monthly dinner parties. And I want to
Mm,
talk about I want to talk about things that are really going on. I don't want to talk about, don't get me wrong, I love me some Taylor Swift and like, who
mhm,
Kim Kardashian is dating or breaking up with or whatever. But like, let's talk about like, let's solve some real problems. Let's
mhm.
change some real things. Like, what are we doing? Like, let's do some crazy cool stuff. So I want to have a farm and I want to do dinner parties and I want to grow people in the sense that like I want to be able to connect you with, somebody who will create the next version of Celeste, right? Like maybe you're
Mhm.
like, okay, I want to, you were the one that said I want to work with like the elderly and providing housing for them.
Yeah,
Okay,
which
great.
I already do.
Right. But if
But
you were
I
to
want to do senior housing as well right now. So.
I love so my mom wants to do that too, and there's a couple other people that I do know. So it would be awesome to
Oh
have a
yeah,
dinner
that's true.
party, put you in contact with them, and then help you problem solve the little things that you want to problem solve. But essentially, like I want to help grow people, support them, help them unblock barriers, whatever the case might be, and then we do
Mhm.
that on a monthly cadence. And my whole thing is like good food, good people, good conversation. That's a great
Mhm.
night for me. Anyway,
Yeah.
so we were talking about all of us want to get there. Prison reform. I told people I want to be a farmer and grow people. Somebody else said they want to do transitional housing. And so the question to me is, why are we not just doing our dream now? If that's our dream, right? Like I'm trying to make money
Mhm.
flipping houses to then become a farmer. Maybe I should just quit flipping houses and I should just be a mother effing farmer now. Like
Mhm.
why not?
What's stopping? Yeah.
And now that I've told you all this, I forgot what I was trying to say in this, and I apologize.
Yeah. That's my train of
Um,
thought too. It's like,
yeah.
yeah,
But yeah, so I do want to be a farmer. But anyway, going back a little bit, I think you were asking me about my flip in Andover,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
you
yeah.
were also we were getting into left field about Go Giver. Okay, so before I become a farmer, which I'm doing things to move that part of my life along.
Mhm.
I'm continued to flip in Andover. I got a great opportunity. I said yes to the opportunity, which is awesome. And then things that I also provide. This is maybe my sixth flip that I've done.
Mhm.
Let me think.
6.
My
Okay.
actual flip. So maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is my fifth flip. So
Mhm.
I'm not some sexy person out here. But what I do know is I knew how stressful it was when I first started. I knew how scared I was when I first started. So if you go to my Instagram and you go to the link in my bio, I have kind of like what I did for Sub 2 New England. I have like a table of contents, and I
Mhm.
share my stuff with you. So I have a separate group for the flip that I'm doing now, but on the flip that I did just before, which was Enfield or Squad 100, you can see all of the quotes that I've ever gotten for the job. I have spreadsheets on expenses and things that I paid for. I have lists of different providers. So I had like 10 different dumpster companies I was looking at. I have
Mhm.
pricing for all of them. You can see which one I picked and why I picked it. Based on the needs that I have. But the reason why I say all this is I don't consider myself a go giver. I don't even know like what I am, but I don't think it's a go giver.
The
I
fact that
just
you have
know.
that for everyone to see and to have like a guide, that's like giving free stuff already. I know it's like, eek.
The
But
reason
yeah,
why
the fact that because not a lot of people would provide that for free. I tried.
well, the thing
When
is
I was
I
first
make I
starting, I
have
would like to, yeah.
I make it anyway. I make it for me because I need
I
to
know
like
you're an Excel
see.
spreadsheet like kind of
Yeah,
maniac, or
I love a good spreadsheet. I love a good spreadsheet. And then I
yeah,
make
like
it.
I hate that. I'm like I
I
go to my
love
husband and he does it
it.
for me.
Girl.
Um, but yeah, so
Girl.
I tried to ask for those before, like a flip calculator or whatever. They
No,
would
no, no,
want
no,
me
no,
to
no.
buy something and
You
whatever.
you
But
kind of
for
you
you
kind of
having
need
it there
you need to
already.
make your you kind of need to make your own because
Hmm.
I've seen a whole bunch of different flip calculators and then I was like I'm going to make one calculator to rule them all. Stupid. You make what you use. And so the
Now I
stuff
have. Now
so
I
the
have.
stuff
But then I
yeah,
needed guidance. So I was
the
like,
stuff that
I'm
I
trying to get, especially the scripts.
Yes.
when I was starting, oh, this is the script you should use and stuff. So I had to make my own that would like, because again,
Yes.
English is not my first language, so it has to slide on my mouth. But
Have
I
you?
found RJ Bates's is
Yeah.
like one of the
Girl,
ones that we
I
use.
wish I had his accent. I think I could buy. He's like, "Ma'am, I'll buy your house for $1. Okay, I'll send you the contract right now." And then they're like, "Oh yeah, yeah, sure."
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah, take
I
it.
actually really I like Stephen Trang's. He has like a
Oh,
sit down.
Steve
It's three
Chang, yeah,
pages. Have you
yeah.
seen it?
I think I have. It's in
That
my
that's
sheet somewhere there.
I
I
think
have a
the
copy.
number one takeaway from that one is he asks permission before he does anything. And so
Mm-hmm.
there's this whole thing in psychology of autonomy. So it's like, Celeste, would you mind if I give you some feedback on your script?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, cool. And then you go into it rather than being like, your script sucks ass, or
Yeah,
like your script was amazing. Instead of
yeah.
going right into that, it's like a little bit of foreplay just to be like, would you mind if I touched your
Mm-hmm.
boobies or something like that?
Yeah.
Like you have to ask for
Permission.
permission.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
the people are like, oh yeah, yeah, totally. And then it's
yeah.
better. Anyway, so that was the major. I don't know if that's what he wanted, but that was the major takeaway that I got from the Steve Trang script, and I really liked his a lot. But going
Yeah.
back, all of the stuff, like you said, now you can start looking at other people's stuff. Obviously, don't reinvent the wheel. It all exists out there. Get yourself
Mm-hmm.
ideas. But the way
Exactly.
that you get the stuff that works for you is you have to mother effing do the
Do it.
goddamn work. Once you
Mm.
start to do the work, do you think like, I like this, I don't like this is junk, whatever, whatever. And so the stuff that I share is I have to make it for me anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta compare all my dumpster people with each other. I gotta look at this, I gotta look at that. I've made it already. For me not to share it feels really wasteful. And being
Mm-hmm.
wasteful is like is like a pillar of my, I don't know, identity where I hate being wasteful. So for me, it's like I made it, it exists. Let me just put it out there for anybody that wants it. But I don't consider myself a go giver based on a technicality because my feeling is you can only give when you are abundant. And I think a lot of times people are like, oh, you should give anyway. And my feeling is not that. I think you should give out of joy, you should give out of abundance. Any other way that you give is not a good way of giving. So I fucking hate go giver nonsense. Like, oh, give until you bleed. Oh, cut your arm off and give it to them.
Yeah,
No, you
no, no.
can't.
That's
You
very
go when
Asian.
it's the
So
arm and then
we're like that. Filipinos are like that. We give until we can't anymore, and now it's
no,
hurting
that's
us. And
not
so that's
healthy.
something that I'm not.
It's
I
not
know they're not.
healthy.
It's not
Get
healthy.
out of here
But
with
yeah,
that.
so
No.
I'm not like that at all. But well,
No, you
I
are.
before I tried.
You secretly are.
Am
You
I?
gotta like actively work against it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sustainable
yeah.
giving. So I
Hmm.
this guy that I like a lot. He's also in my Instagram bio links. Marshall Rosenberg. He passed away, but he taught a course called Nonviolent Communication. And one of the
Hmm.
things that he says in the video that I posted, it's 3 hours long, and I don't watch anything else but this one video he made like 50 years ago. And every time I listen to it, I always get something new from him. But he talks about in it, he goes, whenever you give something, you should give it with the joy of a child feeding a duck bread. Like you should be
Hmm.
so joyful
No
to give it, so happy
expectation.
to give it. And so for me, when I give, it has to be that I have to be happy to give it, because if I give it against like my will or whatever the expression is, then I'm miserable.
Hmm.
So that's why I
Yeah.
don't like go giving. I don't like the expectation you have to give. If you want
Hmm.
to give, you're going to give. Let it be a joyful thing when you give.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's
Giving
my
without
beef with that.
expectation is something that I that I practice. So yeah. So exactly. Let me see. I had like a thing I want to ask you, but we just went
Sure,
over
sure.
whatever. So
No, ask me.
what's your favorite? I know. So I'm not really a reader. Because
Neither
I
am
didn't have that. Yeah, yeah. I didn't grow up reading a lot. But what's your
too much
favorite
ADD.
book? Whether it be real estate or whatnot. So when people, so I was doing interview like this before, and they would ask me, "What's your favorite book?" And I always gravitate to Tuesdays with Maury because that spoke in my heart and everything. But real estate wise,
Yes.
what opened my eyes is really just the Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's basically what opened my eyes. Everything else is kind of like what I have to do after reading that, but really
Yeah.
that kind of opened my eyes with, oh, okay, this is something that I think I
So
can
so
do.
let me ask you this question. When you ask people, what's your favorite book? What's the purpose of you asking that question? What are you trying to find out?
So I figure out if that's something interesting to me because they already. So me reading a book, I read the back first to see if I get interested in it. So if I ask you and this book really interests you, so I might be, oh, it might be interesting because and then I would read it. Otherwise, because I'm not a reader, and so I take
Hmm.
people's inputs on, oh, this is a great book, read it because I learned this and that, and then, oh, okay, that interests me, I want to learn this and that, I'd probably read that too. So that's basically, it's just for me, and obviously for other people, if you learn that and they would know you learned this from reading that book, well,
It's a good question because it's interesting from time to time. I've seen a lot of interviewers ask that question. Um, so for me, I don't think I've ever really read a book. Like even if I was supposed to read it or if it was good for me, like How to Win Friends and Influence People. Like I have too much ADHD for that stuff. I think
yeah,
even like
yeah, me too.
audiobooks, like I don't care. Um, you know what?
Yeah,
Let
my
me do this.
audiobooks, I listened to it halfway and I was like, I have like
Yo,
maybe
that's such
10
a
that I listened halfway and never finished it. But at least
yeah,
I
no,
listened to it halfway, right?
I'm in the same boat. Like they'll be talking to me and I'm like, don't tell me what to listen to. Like, ew. Like I don't know what it is about me, but I'm like constantly fighting everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so here's what I'll do. The guy that I just spoke about, Marshall Rosen, is
Mm-hmm.
probably one of the best things that I have. Okay, so my favorite book of all time, I do have a book, and I think it's like three-quarters of the way read, is Untethered Soul by Mickey Singer. And I love and adore him.
Oh, it's the
I
second,
think I
the
might even
third one.
have the book on audiobook
Mm-hmm.
and it's on my Google Drive, so like I could give it away. If I put it in my Instagram link, then you can have it there, and that's a way that I like to look at or hang on to media is in my Google Drive. I also think I have a bunch of PDFs in there that I've like never looked at.
Mm-hmm.
But the big one for me, so I love Mickey Singer because the lesson from that one is he talks a lot about the voice that you have in your head is not you. And so
Mm-hmm.
you have that voice which is, oh, don't go. I have a pimple. My hair doesn't look cute. My skin doesn't look cute. People are not going to respect me. I don't think people like me. It's too much effort to go. My jeans don't fit. Whatever the reason might be, you don't have to believe that person who is nonstop talking in your head. So he talks about it in the book like it's like a shitty roommate on a couch that never leaves the couch but is always running their mouth, and
Mm-hmm.
you're believing this roommate all the time. So I love Mickey Singer for that. He also tells the story of how he built his church, to which I had a friend go recently, like within the last year. Fucking excuse me, met Mickey Singer at his goddamn church that's
Oh yeah?
unlisted. Do you know about this church?
No. What church is that?
No.
No.
Okay, Mickey Singer, amazing. He, how do I even do a good job of like telling you about him? He wrote a couple of books. He wrote like The Surrender Project. He wrote Untethered Soul. Okay, so at one point he decides to build a church, and when he goes to build a church, he builds it himself. So every little like siding board, every piece of like lumber he puts up, whatever, he's nailing these things in. And I think one time he was
Mm-hmm.
talking about installing the floor. And as he's installing the floor, he keeps having this voice inside his head, which is, nobody's going to come to this. Are you kidding me? You're
Mm-hmm.
wasting time. You're wasting material. This is the dumbest thing you could have thought of. Nobody's going to come. Who's going to come to your stupid church? And he said
Mm-hmm.
every time he had that thought, he would observe the thought. He would remind himself that the thought is not him, and he would continue installing this floor. 40 years
Mm-hmm.
later, 50 years later, they don't advertise. Everything is by word of mouth. Every single week for the last like 40, 50 years, that church has been attended every single weekend, full house, sometimes too many people so that they spill out onto the lawn, but has come to that church because he simply built it, because he didn't listen to the voice inside his head. And then my
Mm-hmm.
friend who's in real estate, Nick Allerud, which I don't know if I've introduced you to him yet, but he runs in my circle of friends.
Oh,
He's
Alarin.
doing
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
doing
yeah.
a deal with Jonathan Stratton right now, and then he did another hotel with Janine Whitaker and more people that you
Oh,
know of.
mhm.
Anyway, so he went to Florida, and his friend was like, "Hey, you want to go to church with me?" And he's like, "Ah, sure, whatever, let's hang out." And mother effing, it's Mickey Singer's mother
Mickey.
effing church that he went to, and I was like, "You saw him?" And he's like, "Yeah,"
Where
and
is
I'm like,
that?
"Florida."
Oh, Florida. Okay.
It's kind of invite only, like you got a friend needs to like extend the invitation and
Exclusive.
bring you, but like how crazy cool is that? Anyway, Mickey Singer, Untethered Soul, one of my all-time favorite books, teaches you not to believe the voice that keeps talking in your head.
And
You
that's
are not
hard.
that voice.
That's
And
hard
then the
not to
second,
listen to that little voice that's,
all the
right
time,
in there.
all the
Yeah,
time,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
doesn't it doesn't shut up. It's constantly saying
Mhm.
things. And then the crazy part is you're believing the things that it's saying all the time, all the time.
Mhm.
So that's
Yeah.
one. And then the second thing that I'll say is in my Instagram bio, Marshall Rosenberg teaches nonviolent communication. One of my all time favorite things. I was first introduced to it about 10 years ago. One of the best tools that I've ever had in my life was because I watched one 3 hour workshop that he did in California. Um,
Mhm.
I love it. I love it to death. Like one of my favorite. So he has a bunch of helpful things in it. So it's really interesting, and I highly recommend checking it out. But one of the like language patterns that he gave that has helped me tremendously to the point where I start laughing in the middle of it, which is not good or helpful, is he says, "Help me understand." And so, like, like you ask somebody where you're like, why didn't you do the
Yeah,
dishes,
yeah. You
husband? Or
say
like,
that a lot. Help me
why
understand.
did you
Yeah,
load
yeah.
the dishwasher? And then,
Yeah. Yeah.
yes. So
So that's
I've
where you
I've
got it
taught
from.
this to like Caleb Christopher. I've taught this to as
Mhm.
many people as I could teach it to, but Help Me Understand is one of my all-time favorites because it just, I don't know. I had somebody like say it to me one time, so I use it, and then I used to laugh when I used it because people started telling me what's really going on, and I was like, no fucking way that this actually worked. And then one
Mhm.
time, like I was really upset about something, and somebody was like, "Help me understand," and I don't even know how to describe it. I felt like yeah, I guess like I'm this big, angry, gaseous, hot bubble. And as soon as they ask me that, the entire bubble burst. And I feel like this cooling presence where I'm like, oh, here's the answer to it. Anyway, it was
Mhm.
amazing. But I love Marshall Rosenberg. The videos on my Instagram bio, nonviolent communication. It's 3 hours long. You don't have to listen to everything. You can skip around in the video, but it's awesome. I think so that was one of them. Help me understand is a great expression. And then the other thing that also taught me that I think about all the time is whenever people are communicating, I have something in my head that I'm trying to put inside your head. There's a
Mhm.
reason why I'm trying to give you this thing. And what ends up happening is I might put this thought or idea message that I have in my head and I might wrap it in some really shitty wrapping paper. And I might say something stupid where I'm like, say something offensive where I'm like, hey, bitch, that sweater, green, is not a good color on you, or something like this. I don't know. That's just a terrible example. But the
Yeah.
point that I'm trying to make that I think I took from him that's helped me tremendously is anytime anybody ever speaks, there's a message that they're trying to give you. Don't get caught up in their words. Don't get caught up in the way that they deliver it. Just try to take a moment to understand what are they trying to give you, because they're trying to give you a gift. They're either trying to give you information or they're trying to say thank you for something, and they have a shitty way of saying it, or you don't like the way they say it, or the gift wrap on the gift is shitty looking and you don't want to open up the box. And the answer is no, no, no. Don't worry about the wrapping. Just figure out what's the gift, figure out what's inside the box. So that was the other lesson that I learned from Marshall
Yeah. So
Rosenberg.
that
Yeah.
resonates to me because again, I'm an immigrant. English is not my first language, and I try to go beyond the words that they're telling me. Because again, I might say something that I didn't mean it that way, but you understood it differently. It's just because of the language
Right.
barrier. So yeah, that's one thing.
Yeah.
Funny that you mentioned Caleb because Caleb helped me understand. I had a Zoom with Caleb earlier in the morning, and he's like very insightful and everything. I always He's like one of the people that I always like, hey Caleb, do you have a minute and stuff. So
He's
he is a go giver too, because
he's
he
around.
doesn't really ask for anything. I try to bring
Yeah.
value, but right now his whatever he knows, I just want to make sure that what I know is something that we're on the same page. So yeah, so he helped me tremendously earlier this morning about another exit that we're thinking of. But yeah, so I've met a lot of people. Again, in Sub 2, it's a great community. It's one of the best communities that I've joined in before, because I looked into other communities before. And then our Discord group is the only one that has the freaking Excel spreadsheet, the contacts and everything. The other people didn't have that, so they're like kind of scrambling. So I was like, okay, I do belong in an awesome group. Again, you headed that thing, and I was like, when you left, I was like, oh, she left. Why? And so that was something. But I know, right? But that's for another podcast, I guess.
I
But
mean, where I'm at right now. So again, for anybody that's interested, I saw this meme on Instagram. I feel like all my information is from Instagram, but there was a meme that said, I mind the business that pays me. Where I'm at in my life is I'm 37 years old. I want to have kids. I want to find my significant other. For the longest time, I'm dating my real estate group. I would take them out to I would take them to the farm, and I would take them to, I don't know where else we went. Like we'd have picnics together. I would take them to restaurants, and I'm like, I'm dating my real estate group. I can't marry them. I need to go hit on I need to go say some nasty things to some guys and trap them into being my baby daddy, right? So that's why I'm like, I got to get out of here. This is not where I'm trying to be. But what I do is I still flip houses as a job. It's a job flipping houses. I am not an investor. I'm only an investor when I hold my property. But right now I flip houses. It's a job that pays me. It's a job that I am currently enjoying. I technically do it part-time, and I get paid like 2-3 times what I used to make doing a 9-to-5 job. So that's the reason why I choose this job. I share a lot of the lessons and the resources that I have, because I know what it was like when I first started, and feeling like I was a not empowered woman. When I was flipping, I never want to be in that position, and I want to save anybody else I can save from that suffering, should they want to be saved. So I do share resources. You're welcome to have them. I want you to have them. You can follow along my journey on my Instagram. Ask me questions anytime. If you're trying to do something, if you're a vendor, if you're a contractor, if you're a supplier, warehouse materials, whatever the case may be, or whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, I know people. So just tell me what you want, and whatever I can do to help you, I'll do my best to help you. Yeah.
okay,
So say
so
hi.
they
Come
can
say
find
hi on
you
my
on
Instagram.
Instagram, Suzanne Sharkey, right? Is it Suzanne K Sharkey on Instagram? And then you
Suzanne
don't do
K for
Facebook, right?
Korean Sharkey.
Yeah, you don't do
I
Facebook a
mean,
lot.
yeah.
Yeah, so DM
So
her
Facebook
on.
is for my friends. My
Mhm.
friends. Instagram is for anybody. So it doesn't matter who you are. Instagram is
Do you
my
answer
channel of
DMs
dealing
though
with
from
any.
random
So
people?
you have to be who?
Do you answer DMs from random people if they want to reach out to
Oh
you,
yeah,
like, hey,
from
I have a
everybody.
property in Andover or
Everybody.
whatever? Okay, all
Yeah.
right, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so
Facebook
that's
is for
kind of.
friends and family.
You have a YouTube channel or no?
I do, but a lot of the
Mhm,
stuff is unlisted because,
mhm.
so for example, I do have one. All I will say is if you ever need to find me, go to Instagram, pay attention to my
Gotcha.
bio. In my bio, I have a link, and I'm going to change it because it's going to be like what I did for Sub to New England. I made a table of contents so that you can find all the things that I share really easily, whether it's
Mhm.
calculators, expenses, how I flip a house, YouTube channel when I want to share that. I have some videos, like unlisted videos too, just for resources. And then I have a company with a couple of friends called Mass Probate Pros. And one of the other things that we're working on is we have an attorney we really like, and I want to be able to provide probably like once a month free probate attorney one-on-ones for anybody that's going through probate. This guy bills at like 16,000 an hour, so to be able to provide him for free for people is
When is that?
awesome.
When is that?
So it's
When
once
is
a
that
month. I
free
have a
probate?
So
It's gonna
I'm
be
not
in your
opening
link.
it up just yet. I'm not. And the people that I open it up to, right now are the people that are PRs in Massachusetts. But as time goes on, we're
Mm,
gonna change it. It's Ken Harvey. I love and adore him. But the
okay.
next meeting that I have is on the 18th. It's currently closed. And then I'm going to talk to him about 2025, making it open for all of the clients that we have, because we have a lot of people that are like
Mhm.
in probate, but don't, most people that are in probate, it's their first time being in probate.
Mhm.
But anyway, I have some recorded videos, so I'll send you a recorded video. You can listen to us talk on it, and then if you have any
Yeah.
questions, you let me know. But essentially, what I want to do is have people ask him questions and then post it on our website, massprobatepros.com. That way, that
Mm.
answer can live there for not only you but anybody else who has that question.
Okay. So what's next for you? What's your next plan? So if someone wants to do business with you, again, you buy properties in Andover. What else
Have
can reach
babies.
out to you?
I
Oh,
I
again,
always
I'm gonna get the assignment fee once. Give me your buy box
Okay, okay,
for your
okay.
baby.
Great, great, great. So I told everybody that a life partner, listen, so when you talk about your husband all the time, I'm like, man, I want one of those. A life partner. Listen, you got 4 babies with him, okay? So, and
Mm-hmm.
he's so nice. Anyway, a great life partner, honestly, I think the assignment fee should be $1 million for a great life partner. Because in your lifetime, you will make that with that person, right? Anyway, but I'm
Mm.
offering right now $100,000 for my life partner. I don't know why you're laughing. I'm legit. $100,000 is what I
We have
have.
to sign a JV agreement on that. We
No,
have to
because
sign a contract.
I'm not trying to curse, but I'm fucking telling everybody. It's like on my Instagram, recorded here. I don't care where it is. I'm telling you, $100,000. You introduce me to my life partner, my many babies' daddy. You introduce me to that person. You are bridesmaid number 1 at my wedding. And number 2, you get $100,000 assignment fee for making the introduction. It's my job to not burn the relationship, but I want
Yeah, yeah.
kids. I want kids. I
Yeah.
want to be a farmer. I want to have monthly dinner parties at my house. I want to grow people,
Mhm.
grow and develop people, help you work through difficult things that you're going through, introduce you
Mhm.
to great relationships that'll help further grow you, give you ideas, just problem solve with people. So again, I want to be a farmer. I want to grow people, and I want to grow my own physical offspring. So hence the search for my
Mhm.
many babies' daddies. And then in the meantime, if you ever want
Mhm.
to reach out, there's my number. I don't pick up numbers that I don't recognize. So
Yeah.
probably text me before you call or write to me on Instagram. So Suzanne K. Sharkey. I check all my messages. That's like my number one spot to talk to anybody, everybody. Facebook is a different thing. Facebook is for friends and family. So that's something else that
Mhm.
I do there. Maybe I'll change it. But any updates that I do, anything that I'm working on, I try my best to update my Instagram, because that's my public profile to the world of here's what I'm doing, here's what I'm working on, here's what I'm willing to share with you.
Mhm.
And yeah, just come talk to me.
Okay. All right. Perfect. So, how long have we been talking? More than an hour. Thank you so much for your time. So this is what I'm saying. You're a go giver. You gave me your time, your precious time. So one thing that Pace mentioned to me, and we've been trying to, I've been trying to figure it out because all of this things that I want to do. Um, like make sure that you follow your schedule. That's one thing that I have struggled with, following my
Time
schedule, since I
blocking.
have a lot of kids, extracurricular and all that stuff. But I'm focusing on the money making time, that, and this, I
Okay.
think this is one of it, because once people know what we're talking about, and they're more inclined to, like, contact you and stuff. So thank you for being with us today. This somewhere. I have to figure out how to do it. Again, this is my first live all on my own. And so yeah, I think it went well. We're just having like a
Celeste.
conversation. So
Celeste, I'm going to tell you one last thing. Well, I'm going to tell you 2 more things. So, number one, income generating activities matter most. Don't get me wrong. I love this.
mhm,
I love knowing you. I love being able to share what we have now. But the way that I think that you are of value, and I think I've said this often, especially in Sub 2 New England, your highest and best use is doing deals, period. If you are doing
Mm-hmm.
deals, those are the people that I spend my time with. Those are the people that I problem solve with. Those are the people that I want to know, because when I see you deal with a difficult situation, have difficult circumstances, or just learning your communication style, that speaks volumes to me about who you are. So I would tell you to prioritize the income generating activities. And let me give you an example as to how to prioritize them with me, Mother Effer, Andover, Mother Effing, Massachusetts. If you ever have anything there, I will be your buyer without question. And it doesn't
Okay, I'll have
matter
that.
how much money you want. We'll find a way to close that gap. Period. So sell me something in
Okay.
Andover, Massachusetts, or find me my many babies' daddies. And the second thing I wanted to tell you is the things that you're thinking, which is, I did it on my own, I hope it's okay. No, 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 no. You're wonderful. You are wonderful. The people that are going to appreciate you are the people that are in your tribe. So don't discredit yourself
Mm-hmm.
thinking, oh, no, 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 no.
Mm-hmm.
And the final word that I want to leave you with is, I'm very proud of you. When you first joined, I thought, oh, she's a mother of four. There's not going to be much from this lady at all. She's going to be busy raising her kids. She's a high W-2 earner. Like, she's got her own stuff. And yes, she wants to do real estate, but I don't know that there's going to be much coming from her. And then slowly but surely, if not quickly, I heard you doing deals. So you, like, your first wholesale deal, a deal with in Brockton, I think you did a deal too. I'm watching you go on buying and selling appointments. Now you're doing No One Left Behind. So what I will tell you is, I'm very much impressed by you. I'm very much
Oh,
proud of
thank
you
you.
for the action you did take, did take, for the compliments you did make. Again, I'm a huge believer that when you take action, that's where the value lies, because you learn things. And only when you learn things can you then give it away to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a big believer that you need to walk the fire to earn your stripes. I love the fact that I hear you walking the fire. I see you walking the fire. And you're
Thank
not joking.
you.
You do get around going to all these meetups with four effing kids. Sometimes you brought your kids with you. And I love that you did that, because,
Not sometimes, all the
I
time.
come
I
from
bring
a
them with
family
me.
with a mom.
Yeah.
Girl, yeah, in the minivan where they're like, Mom, we're bored. And you're like, okay, great.
But
You're
they
like,
like it.
noted. And I'm
Yeah.
not bored and I'm not done. So we're here. But yeah,
Yeah.
I came from a family with, my mom had four kids, and I know what she did and I know what she didn't do. And so I'm very much
Mm-hmm.
impressed by you for taking all the
Thank
action
you.
that you do take. So bravo to you. Honestly, bravo to
Thank you
you.
so much.
I'm
I really
happy to know
appreciate
you.
that.
I'm happy to be friends with you. In whatever way that I can help you, I'm willing to do that. So for me, it's not so much like, I don't think of it as go giver, as I think of it as people who excite me. I'm excited to watch good people be successful. And I think of it as, your success is my success. So watching you be
Mhm.
successful makes me happy, because when you win, I feel like I'm winning the same way. So love
Oh,
seeing
thank you.
you.
Thank you so much.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
People that excites you. Yeah, yeah. People that excites you. Like, yeah, you gravitate towards them. Yeah. Yeah. But thank you so much for
All
this.
right.
And I'm pretty sure we're
I
gonna see each other. When we have a meetup, you gotta be there. I don't care if you're
I
driving from Rhode Island, okay?
yes.
You have to be there. Okay.
Okay.
All right. All right. Have a
All
good
right.
night.
I'm being
Thank you so
summoned by
much.
my son. So I will see you. Bye,
All right.
Celeste.
See you
Thank you
then.
for
All
having
right.
me.
Bye. Okay. Thank you.